Yes.
Is it true that if you convince somebody of something or try to convince somebody or have an argument even, which is conflict, I get that,
Mhm.
that's unloving. As a straight across rule, that's
Well, I
unloving.
mean, again, there's nothing wrong with putting forth your opinion. But if you make a big deal about their response to your opinion, then you're in conflict. There's nothing wrong with giving your opinion.
It's an attack.
But if you go to the next step of, well, now they're not agreeing with me and I'm upset because they're not agreeing with me, that's a whole nother story. And, ultimately, if there's more than one side, we're in duality, no question about that. But if you're just centered and you put out a desire or a concern and they don't, they don't grab it, all done.
I mean, we're all gonna have things that other people will disagree with.
We're
I mean,
still
every person
saying-
in this room would disagree with something that I have to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. And remember, we're in duality. Right.
Yeah,
And-
you don't make it the end all,
This is my opinion.
and that's it.
You can
Yep.
listen to it or accept it.
But the point that I'm taking issue with is that it's unloving somehow.
It's not unloving if you don't insist on somebody doing what you think is right, because you just put your opinion out there. That's a
Okay.
very different thing,
You're having a tug of war,
right? The
go
tug of
around
war,
with
right?
somebody, and they just put the rope down.
Right.
Yep.
Love isn't about doing, it's about being. So you can do, whatever you're doing with the other person, where they're coming from.
And again, keep remembering when Jesus was being crucified, the people that were crucifying him were not being very nice and they were not agreeing with him. And his response was, okay, I still love you exactly as you are. Now, again, this is a big stretch from where we are. This is not an easy thing for us to come to. But the question always becomes, and again, before the break, I mentioned the idea of, with the magnets, if I'm holding a magnet of hate or judgment or attack, I'm going to draw to me judgment, hate, or attack. Period.
You're always going to say, I'm right, I'm always right.
Yes,
I
right.
am right.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we all do. And in the limited understanding that each one of us have, we are right. But in the whole, we're not right. And if I want to, attack or kill somebody because they don't agree with me, which is exactly what we're doing when they don't agree with me, believe it or not, we're saying I'm right and you're wrong and you need to get out of the way so that I can prove that I'm right.
There are
Yes.
families that are split up right now.
Oh, sure,
and
many.
It's just so sad.
Yep.
You can't, in my own family too. Yeah.
Sure.
Because they don't agree.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
See, it has to be okay to disagree.
Yes,
Yeah.
but,
Acceptance
yeah.
without
I call the
qualification.
other person unhinged.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well.
But we also have to kind of smile at that and realize
Yeah,
in a world of insanity and duality, that's the games that get played.
right,
That's what keeps it being fed and keeps it going.
right, that's what you've been talking about.
Absolutely.
So when we accept things as they are,
Mhm.
There you go.
we're accepting both the ego and the Holy Spirit in the other person.
Well, I mean, I would say if you're accepting things as they are, you're just looking at the film that's being produced on the wall and you're realizing it's not real and it has no effect on who I am.
Your brother is a son of God just as you are. That's all you're accepting, your brother.
I like the Buddhist teaching that cause of suffering is preference.
Yeah, yeah,
Right preference,
right.
you have peace.
And be aware where preference program preferences.
Right.
Right.
Whoever's gonna
Yes,
show you.
right, exactly.
Well, and even if you, well, my experience was I wanted peace a lot, where I was the last 4 months. I wanted peace, and I was asking, but it gets tricky because other people don't want to hear that, or they don't really want what you want. They want you to fix something, but they don't want they don't want to listen to what you say. So it was very interesting to be like a mime, at one point I was talking about something about kindness, and this person hit the roof. They were yelling at me and telling me to get the F out of their house. They were giving me a real, and what did I do? Well, I guess I'm just an ego, my ego, something about that is what and you're always trying to work it out and figure it out. And then he took the apples that were on the plate and he threw them at the wall. And I went in the room and I said, Jesus said to me, okay, honey, if he starts getting really mean, you go outside, you scream and you dial 911. I wasn't care about being kind anymore. I'm like, I'm not gonna, this is, it's just interesting how these things happen. And then I was able to, he went off. And I went in the room that I had there. And I was scared in a way. I thought, he just can't manage any of this. He's having quite a tough sheet. He's having a, and I had to keep asking Jesus what to do. He said, lay low. I had to keep, that's so you say, you keep every minute you're asking Jesus.
Yeah.
And every minute, that's what I had to do. And that's how you don't have, a tsunami is gonna come, whatever's gonna hit you. To me, that was like a tsunami.
Absolutely.
And it was all very, he lost his mind.
Right.
And
But-
I had to keep my mind
Yes.
on Jesus.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't gonna start yelling at him. I wasn't gonna do that. And I managed to stay out of that. And I went for a walk and I came back and he's still hollering, telling me he's gonna call my son and get me out. And I'm like, okay, what are we doing? Going to the hotel, what are we doing now, Jesus? And we all calmed down. Because it just like, whatever happened to him, it hit him like a ton of bricks.
Yep.
And I was the person-
Something we have to understand, and this is kind of a difficult concept. Literally, nowhere do these two meet. There is a line down the middle. They do not touch, just like the opposing magnets, okay? So we all live in a world of conflict. We live, breathe, produce conflict.
Conflicts are up.
So one person comes along for a moment even and says, this is conflict, okay? One person says, okay, I want peace. Do you think this person's gonna be excited about that you want peace? No. Because they're addicted to conflict. So the person that's choosing for peace will sometimes get more energy coming towards them of conflict to pull them back down where the contract is, which is we do conflict. So when you can stay still to your desire for peace, you're literally saying, no, I'm not going to be pulled into conflict no matter what happens. And that's a hard road to stay in that centered place because that's so anti my existence, let alone anybody else's. And, in the Bible, it talked about Jesus said, when they said, oh, well, you're the king of the king, why don't you do something? And he did nothing. You think that didn't upset them? It upset them big time because how dare he not respond? And that's kind of the way this works. We're walking in big shoes here. And it's not that easy to do. We can talk about it in class and it sounds like, okay, I'm just going to choose for peace from now on. In the first place you look, someone's saying or doing something and I'm gone. And then every once in a while I thought, well, maybe I could be willing because that stupid blue book says I should be willing. Am I willing in this moment? Oh yeah, I'm willing. And it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. And the next minute I'm back down in the insanity.
And how nuts it is that, after a week or so, it was all forgotten. There was no, again, we're back at this level of like interaction. I just was careful not to say anything about peace because he had, he had his thing he had to do. And I had my thing I had to do, and I was not gonna be undermined, or I was not, I couldn't afford to. I had to stay there and I had to let Jesus tell me what to do.
Yep.
Not let him.
But again, not an easy energy to be around.
Right, but it was, it was a gradual, but then like the idea that you're insane when you get angry like that, when you hit the roof, you're not even thinking, you're just like, everything's going.
Just responding.
And you're gonna blame it on somebody, and that's, then I was the perpetrator.
Sure.
And I had to help, I keep asking God to help me to see how he, he's not a perpetrator, that's just what happened. That's what he had to do to clear it. So that was interesting, but, yeah, I mean, you just don't know you don't know when it's gonna hit you, or somebody steals your car, you don't know, and then you're like, oh, well, I don't know, what's that about? You could, blow your top. And the policeman said to me, he said, I can always tell when I come to the house, who knows if their car's been stolen, and who doesn't.
That's funny.
The one who doesn't know is
Still calm. They don't have a problem. All right, we're going to go on to paragraph number 2 in the Unreality of Sin on text 404, paragraph 2. The ego does not think it is possible that love, not fear, is really called upon by sin and always answers. For the ego brings sin to fear, demanding punishment. Yet punishment is but another form of guilt's protection, for what it is deserving punishment must have been really done. Punishment is always the great preserver of sin, treating it with respect and honoring its enormity. What must be punished must be true. And what is true must be eternal and will be repeated endlessly. For what you think is real, you want and will not let it go. All right, and we talked a little bit about that first line before, but the ego does not think it possible that love, not fear, is really called for or called upon by sin and always answers. If we would come to a point, and I'm not saying I'm there, believe me, I'm still in progress as well. If we could come to the point where we could totally respond out of love, no matter what happens in the world, we would be far ahead of where we are right now. But be very aware that we will be pulled in to the requirement that I'm going to attack instead of choose for love.
What would that like be?
It would be totally peaceful. You could have anything done to you, said to you, happen around you, and you would be totally at peace. And I like that image. I can't always live it, but I like that image personally. Because I can still be pulled in, not as much as I used to though. And it's much more calm and peaceful, that's for sure. And I like the way it says, and always answers, because when I shift from here to here, the answer is there. It's just being covered up by this. And as long as I'm looking at this, I cannot see this. Because as I've said before, literally, there would be a sliding door across here, and I would only be looking at one or the other at a given time. And as long as I play in sin or judgment or attack or any of the other attributes of the ego, I'm literally saying the door is closed to love. When I slide that over, maybe I'll look at this. A little bit easier. I'm over here. I cannot remain here and slide the door and come over here. If I want this, I have to leave all of this behind. No matter how much I think that person is wrong or bad, or they're unforgivable, when I hold them here, I'm holding me here. Because I can't slide over here without bringing my brother with me. I think I'm going to hop over here as Mary Ann, the individual, and leave my brother in the pit. Not going to happen. It's all or nothing in my mind. Now, they can choose to stay here in their mind, but that's up to them. And just like Jesus eventually got it, he was outside of the dream. He sees all of us over here because he's in his right mind, but we can individually continue to choose to play in the separated state.
And the the interesting thing is, we want that.
We want that.
We we want to continue to play in the separated state because when I go over there, there's no more people. And my ego thinks that people are where love comes from. My sons or the ones who know how to have a healthy conflict. And even the ones who don't know how still are helping me keep my separate self alive. And it's like dropping into that place where
Yep.
I try to just be quiet and look at how much I believe being a separate self
Yep.
is a good thing. And going into that pure white sheet, where there's none of the stuff that's on the other side is too much. And you said, it's hard. It's hard though. It's not easy. And then I had read this section in the Little Willingness. Forget not that it has been your decision to make everything that is natural and easy for you impossible. If you believe the holy instant is difficult for you, it is because you have become the arbiter of what is possible and remain unwilling to give place to one who knows. It's so hard to accept that no one is doing this to me. I'm not a victim. I'm choosing it, and I'm so confused. I choose pain because I think there's some value in it. Because I'm so afraid of going to the blank white sheet and then just forgiving that too. It's
Yeah.
not a problem. It's just how it works.
Yes.
And being able to stay in that place of looking at how afraid I am because of how much I believe the world and the separate self is where I'm going to find what I need, right? And if I let it go and go onto the blank white sheet, the ego tells me you're going to have nothing.
Yep.
And then I have to fall. The only way to know is by falling. And when I get there I go, "Oh, that wasn't true. This isn't nothing. This is actually everything." But it's very subtle, very subtle.
It is. And I think, the thing that most of us didn't realize before we started the course was that we are the ones that are responsible. The course says that over and over in a variety of different ways. And it's hard to digest that this is what I want more than love. Are you kidding me? But we don't realize how deeply ingrained we are and addicted to the character I play in the dualistic play. And until I'm literally ready to relinquish that, the answer always is, this is what I want, because I'm either wanting one or the other. There's no other choices.
And
And
I'm just confused. It's not a sin.
no,
I'm just
yeah,
confused. I made the ego so my mind as a mind, not, me, the body, brain,
right.
but I made it so powerful that it could confuse me to think, that the valueless has value. And I
Absolutely.
just have to relax and go, wow, I did a good job because I believe that.
I marvel at the realization of what the ego has pulled off, and we're responsible for that, obviously, but it's just amazing. And that we keep choosing it. And whenever I choose to attack or hold back love, which, I still do, hold back love from anything or anyone, I'm saying I would much rather have this. Thank you very much. I'll see you later, dude. Or sometimes we talk about the idea of you're pushing God under the bus. Well, we push God under the bus all the time. If I'm in charge, God's not. End of story. And as you said, our position at this particular time is to begin to observe that and smile at it and not judge it or attack it, because when we judge or attack it, we make it even more real. If I just look at it and go, well, there I go again, I'm not ready for that love yet, so it's okay. Because to God or Jesus or the Holy Spirit, it's okay. He knows we're just going through what we're going through, and it has absolutely zero effect on what we really are. But we'll get to suffer the consequences of the belief as long as we continue to hold it. But it's not personal. All right, so line 2, paragraph 2. For the ego brings sin to fear, demanding punishment. Oh, isn't that delightful? Not only do we experience the guilt, sin, and fear, we then demand punishment for it on top of it. But you see, the punishment is kind of wonderful, see, because I can play the part of an innocent victim and I just wait for some perpetrator to show up, of which Mary Ann will say, I don't want the perpetrator to show up. But the Son of God who set this up says, oh yeah, bring him on down. I could use another one. I'm kind of getting lax over here. Let's have something happen in the world so that I'm justified to be upset or attack or judge. So it's very tricky. It's very well set up for my ego. But none of it's real. But I don't believe that. I haven't come to the point of accepting that yet. So yet punishment is but another form of guilt's protection. So it's guilt's protection because I think something outside of me is the problem. And as long as I don't know that this is running the show, then I'm kept very busy attacking whatever the perpetrator is or whoever it is. And the cycle goes on and on and on and on. And the ego says, hey, my plan is working, keep at it.
Wow, it feels so big thinking of the punishment system in our society, the prisons, doesn't seem so,
Part of the deal.
wow, it's just the way it is, it's the way it is, it's capital punishment and all that stuff.
Yep.
Well, if we do that, then we'll straighten everybody out.
Mhm. Right. And if you really think of, again, the magnets and that whole concept, if I'm holding sin, I'm holding punishment.
Hoping for punishment.
I'm demanding punishment because you see, I can't be an innocent victim without punishment. And this whole thought system lives on the concept that I'm an innocent victim of circumstances beyond my control. So on some level, and again, not a conscious level, I am not only waiting and hoping for it to show up, I'm demanding that it shows up so I can play the part of an innocent victim. Because you can't have an innocent victim without a perpetrator.
But then how they say, or I'm just reading in different things, how they always say they're not guilty, that they didn't do it, what the person did it, who obviously did it, or when I didn't do that, I didn't do it. They did, how they, I guess that's a pretty common thing that people
Sure.
say, I didn't do it.
Yeah, from the time we were little kids, if you're
Right.
somebody broke the vase, you weren't going to admit it, you blame it on your sibling.
Yeah, and Helene's candy, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yet punishment is but another form of guilt protection for what is deserving punishment must have been really done. So in order for me to judge my brother and the perpetrator, whether it's my brother or it's something else, the perpetrator, I have to believe is real. I have to believe it was done to me. I have to be coming from this thought system. And the bottom line is we're coming from that thought system, so it certainly looks like my brother is my problem in the intellectual understanding of this. So it's almost like we really have to be willing to step above the world experience of what our eyes and our ears and our thinking and whatnot display and recognize there's a higher programming that I can't access as a Mary Ann, but it's running the show. Because if I miss that point, I'm going to be over here, always trying to figure it out here. And I'm always going to be right within my understanding of the circumstance.
This paragraph is very upsetting to me.
The one we're reading? As well, it should be. As an ego, for sure.
Very upsetting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to read it.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, you know,
in
so
my
much,
context of
right,
the last,
exactly, but,
4 months of my life.
yeah,
It's very upsetting to read that
Yeah.
because I feel like in our family, we were raised with that.
Mhm.
Not that we did bad things, but that now there's something that's, yeah, that put into words all that I felt my sister was
Yes.
going through.
Yeah.
And
and understand, this course is literally, guys, gonna take every single thing you think you know, everything, and it's throwing that in the garbage. Well, how do I take my very existence and throw it all in the garbage? You know, make this an empty, blank, nothing. Well, that's not going to be done by one easy swipe. It's going to be done by over and over when you have that willingness to ask for healing, that you be shown who you are, and slowly the understanding of why the value of this outrides the value of this. But it's a process, and you know, a kind of a long drooling process as well. Only because, not because it's real, but because I'm invested in the belief that it's real. If I just totally had no identification with my ego, this course would be like, see spot run. Isn't that nice? Look at Mary Jane walking down the street. Very simple, but we're so very addicted to our belief system, the way we see the world. And this just comes out and wipes that out.
so what we're getting out of it is that we're separate, we're special, we're individual, we're real. That's what we're
Absolutely.
getting out. So we're getting something, I guess that's where I have to, my mind goes off the bus, because what we're getting out of it is, we're getting something out of it.
Yes,
Or we wouldn't be doing that.
absolutely.
We're getting the opposite of love. We're getting that
Yes.
we're special, or that we think we're getting, we think we're being the most loving we can be in that situation. And that's how we think about it. So
Yeah.
then it's just, and if that's not true,
Yes.
but that person or those, or even when I'm in that situation, it's not true. So, but then to go to that and to not want to be special and not, and to undo that is what the part that's, seems, I mean, if you're so convinced that you need to do that, then.
Well, again, you know, we're deep in the valley of the insanity of this thought system.
And death doesn't.
Death does not do the answer, because I'm the projector.
That's a big hole. I guess I'll play around there till I can.
I think I'm fighting for my life, but I'm really killing myself. Some people I can hear clearly, and some I can't. I apologize if I interrupted.
I know. Thank you.
When I'm serene, I feel, I know everything is temporary in the world. Everything passes, you know, the waves ebb and flow. And I can accept the fact that, you know, right now, I will be in this serene place. And I trust that everything is happening as it should in the universe.
Yeah.
And everything will work out. Everything will work out fine. Whatever that, you know, and that meaning changes too, but, and I don't have to be concerned about, I'm not making enough progress or whatever that stupid thing
Right,
is. I mean,
yeah.
what the hell?
Right.
You know, I'm doing the best I can, and it's okay. And I trust that eventually we'll all get there.
Yes.
I trust that will happen.
Well, that must be what you get out of your serenity. Then the serenity is truly from your understanding and your own life of how it's worked out in the past and how.
This is true, and I practice.
Yeah.
I practice.
Right.
Sure.
You know,
And then the other
most of the
moments,
time,
right. And the other moments when you're not in serenity, it's just the ego acting up a little bit like a little child.
Even then,
It's not as bad.
I even knew it, and, it can be above the battleground and watch,
Right.
watch the interaction that's
Yeah.
going on, and,
Yes.
no, that's okay.
Yep.
It's okay, this will pass.
Yep.
Come to a better understanding and see it more clearly.
Right.
As often as possible,
Sure.
rise above the background.
Correct.
Rise above it. How big of a picture do we have the capacity to understand?
Yes. And you can be in a place of more serenity now because you dropped this and walked over here so many times that this is starting to grow and this is starting to be the norm for Beata versus this. And that's what this whole deal is. You know, and Jesus speaks of the little willingness. Every time you have a little willingness, this is growing stronger. This is starting to fade away. And so, yes, this is going to start to work in your life, just like this was automatically always working in your life. But the goal is to come to the point where I'm here, this is gone, period. There's no more draw, there's no more magnetic attraction to this any longer. Yes. So I'm going to read that line again. Yet punishment is but another form of guilt's protection, for what is deserving punishment must have been really done. So once again, if I'm over here, I believe it was done. No question. And I have the right to defend my position till I die. It literally says in the course, I will defend my position to death if I have to. But that will do nothing because it's still part of the illusion. Even if I win, it won't do anything because it's still part of the illusion versus aligning with what and who you really are.
Well, I guess the last line here, for what you think is real, you want.
That's correct.
You will not let it go.
You're like a dog with a bone. You won't let it go, or a cat with a mouse.
And that's true, I guess, of the Holy Spirit. If you think that's real,
Absolutely.
you'll not let it go.
You will not let it
And
go.
then you'll learn that that's how you get peace, how you stay
Exactly.
in with serenity.
Yes.
If that's, you obviously can see the two different sides. Otherwise, maybe until you have that experience, you don't know what you're talking about.
Nope.
You don't know what it means to be real until you have that breakthrough where you say, oh, you say, I don't know what to do.
Yes,
And
that's
then the
what's
next thought
required.
the next thought you have is, well, is a little, another thought that is not in alignment with the first thought.
Yep.
And it's a peaceful thought. And it's like the words come in a peaceful way. And you are given those words.
Yep. And you know it's coming from a different place than what you were when you were in charge.
And that's the miracle. That's the holy instant in the
Yes.
miracle that you just given up your idea and let it, I don't know what to do.
Yep. So punishment is always the great preserver of sin, treating it with respect and honoring its enormity. Again, when you're choosing for the ego, the punishment is going to continue to preserve the sin, because the sin is up here, not down here. But I'm not going to know that the sin is what the problem is. I'm going to play over here, judge, attack, and think I've accomplished something that I've done nothing. And again, it's just like the roof, the roof leaking down into the kitchen. You keep mopping the floor, the good thing to do, mop away. But if you don't go up there and heal the problem, it will continue to reign in your kitchen. What must be punished must be true. And again, well, we believe it's true. So of course we're going to want to punish it. But when you catch yourself walking in the direction of wanting to punish it, and then you remember, if I continue to walk that way, I'm going to just preserve the lie. And I don't want to preserve the lie anymore. I want to know what truth is. It has to be a conscious choice of, I want something different than the misery of which I'm living in. And this is trying to bring the dots together so you understand that when I'm doing this, I'm actually preserving the thing I say I don't want. And if I really don't want it, then The ego does not think possible that love, not fear, is really called upon by sin. When that dawns on me that love is the answer to no matter what's happening, then I'll be much more willing to call on that love instead of the hate or judgment or attack. All right, so again, what must be punished must be true. And we think this is true because I'm invested in the ego. And what is true must be eternal. And this is an interesting line. What is true must be eternal and will be repeated endlessly. So we'll continue to reinforce the ego because we believe the ego is real. And we believe we need to do what egos do when it's real. And we will continue to keep ordering the same thing, and it will keep coming to your door, and you will keep coming to the point where you say, I don't like this. But you won't be willing to do what it's asking you to do to get rid of it. And when it dawns on you, I don't know, then you say, wait, there's another way to do this, and I'm willing to do that. For what you think is real, you want, and will not let it go. Isn't that delightful? That's a good one to chew on. There's a lot of good stuff. I mean, not to the ego, it's not fun, but to the undoing process, there's a lot in that paragraph that can be hashed about a bit.
And I guess the only antidote to that is peace.
Always.
One person to choose peace, not to have peace all the time, obviously.
Right, to choose
In your
peace.
family, for one person to keep choosing peace is the only answer.
Only
Because
answer.
nobody else knows what to do, and they keep fighting, but then
Yes.
somehow miraculously, some of that has dissipated.
Yeah.
All of that awful stuff that was going on in that has dissipated to a certain extent, and I don't know.
And if you're waiting for the other person who has no knowledge of any of this to come to the point where they're asking for peace, you have a very long wait. Because we're the ones that have the knowledge that can put it into place if we choose to do so. And if we choose not,
Well,
don't blame it on the other person. Yes?
well, which is interesting perspective because we all have the knowledge.
Well,
There
okay.
really isn't something outside of my mind that I'm helping because I have knowledge it doesn't. That's like an ego trap too.
I know, but what I'm saying in regard to the understanding of the course, if a person that you're having an argument with does not have the tools of the course, they have it in them, but they don't have access to it being in them because they don't have the knowledge that the course is providing.
It's not.
Right.
Huh.
We have
See,
the
but
knowledge,
there
we
is-
have the tools that can override their inability at this time because they don't know.
Well, I don't have the knowledge of the course. There is no course. There is no book.
Well, but there
There's
is,
only a Holy Spirit
don't go to the
in
top of the steps before you've walked up the steps to at the bottom. We're learning how to apply what this course offers. So one day we can throw the course away because we will be the course. The course is just a book, it's papers, it's nothing, but it's a guide to take us to a point where we can throw the book away, but don't throw the book away before you become the book. Well,
Interesting.
it's true.
But except at the same time, I don't want to keep on being the book because I think I know what it means and how to apply it to others.
Well,
It's
true.
almost like a razor's edge.
Well, way a lot of times it's a razor's edge, but until you come to the place where you're completely at peace, no matter what happens, you're not done with understanding more about what the book has to offer.
Thank you, beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I think it's that time, so we'll close our eyes and take a nice deep breath and let it all go. Forgive us our illusions, Father, and help us to accept our true relationship with you in which there are no illusions and where none can ever enter. Our holiness is yours. What can there be in us that needs forgiveness when yours is perfect? The sleep of forgetfulness is only the unwillingness to remember your forgiveness and your love. Let us not wander into temptation, for the temptation of the Son of God is not your will. And let us receive only what you have given and accept but this into the minds that you've created and which you love. Amen.
Do you want these chairs?
Yeah, we need to move those two. Wait, let me just turn this off real quick.
Love you all.
Love you too.